Okay, features and how to use a caulk gun. I've got a few caulk guns here over the years I've collected. This one happens to be my favorite. It looks terrible, but it's still in excellent working shape because it was expensive in the beginning, and I've beat it up and I've dropped it, and there's nothing wrong with it. The main features you want in a caulk gun are this little hole right here, which when you squeeze the trigger, there's a blade right here, and that cuts off the tip of your caulk tube. So that tip is cut, but nothing's going to come out. If you were to pop that in and start pumping, nothing would come out. That's why good caulk guns come with the nail poker, and you push your nail in there and you break the seal. This caulk gun happens to be quite old, and so I can actually smell it now, but because this is a silicone caulk for bathtubs and so on. But so yeah, a new tube, you just poke once and it breaks that seal, and you're good to go. So you of course, one thing I learned over the years is to keep that clean. Each time I would do it, I would wipe it because that's a mess to clean. You load up your tube. This style has a hole in the front. Not all of them do, and you caulk away, and we'll show in that in just a second. Here's another one. The tube, in this is the kind you lay in and caulk away. Same thing, the slot is here, and the poker is here. I'm sorry if I'm not in the middle of the frame there. That's actually kind of an expensive caulk gun. This one is a super cheap one. And this little tab, as I was saying, on both of these have this little tab. And as you're caulking, you can see with one pump, this cheap one, you can see how far that moves. With the better caulk guns, one whole pump only moves a little bit. So when you do that, you're leaving pressure inside the tube, and that pressure will keep squirting even though you don't want it to, so you release the pressure with this tab. Some caulk guns don't have that, such as this one. You would crank away, and at some point you stops, and you want the caulk to stop coming out. There's no tab here. You twist, and that releases these teeth, which releases the pressure. This is actually probably the worst gun I've ever had or used. I probably got it for free from some paint store. It does have the little poker, which is nice. You can see that I buy my construction adhesive. This is the main glue that I use around the house because it's so cheap and it's really sticky. You can see that the tubes, the tips of the glue caulking tubes get completely solid right away. So what I do is as the plunger goes up, I just take a screw and I just punch a little hole. I'll pump it a few times. It'll come squirting out, and I take a tool or a piece of wood that I'm going to throw away, and I apply glue like you would wood glue. And then here, this might be the first one I ever got. This is the kind, I think this came from England. Yeah, these are the ones that were made in England a long time ago. These were just the best. The action is very smooth. Everything was good. Oh, but this one doesn't have a poker. That's what it is. This gun has everything. You can even hear it. It's just so smooth. But it doesn't have a poker, which I think is why I probably put it in the back of the drawer. Okay, so what are we going to do here today? I'm going to caulk this line here. I'm out in the cottage, and I'm going to use a tube of silicone caulk. And let's see, I poked that one. Well, this tube is going to need some more poking, so I won't use that one today. We'll pick another one. You can see that's a very old one. And what I do, if I can't use the entire tube, I don't want the neck of the tube to dry up, so I shove a screw or something in there, something that you can pull out with pliers, not a piece of wood, because that will break. So I've learned to choose screws and things that do not rust, because if you put a rusty nail in there and you pull it out, all of this will stay rusty for a long time. And And the rust in your caulk, when you paint over it, will bleed through your paint. So you don't want, use a galvanized nail or a brass screw or something. So let's see if we can do some. Oh, there we go. Caulking. Well, that's probably, you see, as I've gone along, at first I probably cut this first at the recommended area, and then it dried up, and then I cut it again, then it dried up, and I cut it again. And so what? You know, that's just the way it goes. So now I do it with my finger, if you have to. But the basic idea of caulking, what you want to do is keep it moving. You get it started. I hope you can see this. You get it started and move as you go. Viola. Voila. And then you release your pressure. You can put your gun down. And then I have a cool little thing here. Again, I might have bought this, or it might have been given to me. I really don't remember. Normally I have a wet rag on the end of my pants. I don't have it today. If you're using silicone, you don't need a wet rag. What you need is a respirator, because it's disgusting. I'm using water-based here. It doesn't really matter to me. Out in this little shed. These are little tools that you can buy to create a nice V in your a nice bead of caulk. Painters probably don't really use these. I bought it because I just wanted to try it. It's just too much to keep up with. What we do is we take our rag and we wet the rag. We put our finger behind the rag and we smush and move the rag a little bit and do it again. Move the rag again. So, and that way also when you leave on a water-based caulk, when you leave it wet, in fact, sometimes I'll flick water on the caulk and then come over with my fingertip, and it leaves a nice smooth finish that you let dry completely, and then you paint. The problem with that is your fingers become raw, and I've come home some days after caulking most of the day with red fingertips. It's not fun. So these tools are really great for that, and this one comes with 2 sizes. So I hope you got what you need out of this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks a lot.